right, let me say good morning to everyone, and let me start off from the very beginning to say that the Houston's drinking water is safe. Let me start off by saying that the water is safe. It was safe through the floods, and it will continue to be safe. So let me start off by saying that. The recent test, though, by the city's own Public Works and Engineering Department showed that the chlorine disinfectant levels were below the state standard at about 7% of the hundreds of testing sites, and there are roughly about 450 testing sites. And what I mean by that, the chlorine level should be at 95% or higher. And so, based on our recent testing, it was at 7% of the 100 testing sites, but I'm going to break it down in different months. The test showed no problems with the bacterial level in the water, so I want to underscore that. But when chlorine disinfectant levels are too low, at more than 5% of the testing sites, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, TCEQ, standards require the city to notify the public, and we are notifying the public and having this press conference this morning as one of the steps. We are doing that now, and we will do it again in a written public notice as well. But let me emphasize that there is no need for alarm. There's no need to believe your drinking water is unsafe. There's no need to treat or boil water before drinking. In fact, you don't need to do anything. Okay, you don't need to boil water at all. In October, samples at 422 locations throughout the city showed satisfactory levels of disinfectants. The level was too low at 34 sites. And what that means in October, the chlorine level, instead of being 95% or higher, was at 93%. In November, samples at 390 locations showed satisfactory levels, and 58 did not. And so in November, instead of it being 95% or higher, it was at 87%. But in December, samples at 424 locations showed satisfactory levels, and 30 did not. So instead of it being 95% or higher, it was at 93.3%. Here's a quote from the State Commission in a letter that was sent out yesterday, Thursday night. Quote, "The bacteriological samples taken in October, November, and December were in compliance and met drinking water standards." So that's coming from TCEQ. Why did the chlorine levels fall at a small percentage of test sites? We're exactly not sure. That's what we are investigating, but we did our own internal audit. In fact, that was done by, and I'm standing here with Carol Haddock over at PWE, and with Drew Molly, who is the Senior Assistant Director over drinking water, and also with Councilmember Christie. So, and in fact, it was Drew that conducted the internal audit. Those findings came back on Wednesday, where it showed that we were below the chlorine level. He then notified TCEQ on Thursday. On yesterday, the letter went out, and of course, we're providing the required notice today, and we'll be providing it in writing. But the chlorine levels fall in standing water through the city water system. When homes, for example, are empty because of flood damage, there is more standing water than usual. And when water lines are turned off temporarily for construction along Highway 290, there is also more standing water than usual. In fact, most of the low levels of chlorine at testing sites were in northwest Houston near the construction at 290. And here's what we're going to do as we move forward. Public Works will closely monitor chlorine levels throughout the city and conduct maintenance at city water plants and pumping stations to increase water flow. And a private consulting firm, in fact, we've already contracted with AECOM, is taking a fresh look at the water system to see if we need to make further changes. AECOM was the same external partner that we utilized during Hurricane Water that assisted us in keeping the Northeast Water Purification Plant up and running when it was totally submerged. And so we are utilizing them here, and they have done work in this area before. But the point of the matter is the water is safe. And let me also explain, those who test the chlorine level is different from those who test the bacterial level. So it's done by two different groups. And so the water is safe. The chlorine level fell below the 95% in October, November, and December. And when it falls below, we're obligated to provide the notice, and that's what we are doing starting today, and it also will be provided in written form as well.